Now, what happens today? The rents have already gone up in about 80% of the areas across Australia. Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, ACT, the rents have gone up, right? The now standard rate is between $200 to $250 a square meter across the board. Even in regional areas like Rockhampton and Townsville, we're still seeing $200 to $250 a square meter in industrial rents. Number one. Number two, now the prices of warehouse properties is 40% or 50% higher than what it was 4 years ago. So you've had rental increases, you've had value increases. How do you move forward as an investor buying an industrial warehouse property? Are you overpaying for it? Well, let's look at one thing. Firstly, across the board, a new benchmark in pricing has been established for industrial warehouses, right? You want to buy into industrial warehouses, this is the price you have to pay. And the price is typically somewhere like, you want to be in an industrial park, it's going to be somewhere around 1 to 1.5 million, right? For a strata, tilt slab, industrial property. You want to be freestanding, 3 to 3.5 million. Starting out, freestanding industrial properties. You want anything with bigger land, logistics, more medium to heavy industry, 5 mil plus. That is the truth of where that market and what that pricing is. And we know the rents, $200 to $250 a square meter averaged across. You might get a little bit less if you're in Victoria, a little bit more you might be paying in Brisbane, Gold Coast area, right? But pretty much the same. So how do you move forward? Where do you find the bargains? Where do you find the value? Now, I'm going to give you some tips. So thank you for staying. Now I'm going to give you some tips. Again, if this video is of value to you and you really want someone to handhold you through the process, a team to surround you who really know the market from the beginning. Like, I've been investing in commercial property since 2012, built not only my portfolio, but countless client portfolios and made them rich and helped them retire faster through commercial property, literally in 3 to 5 years' time. You need to click the link below, book in a strategy call, or join one of our free live events where I can share with you how you're going to be able to do it. But remember, if you love this video and love what I'm talking about, hit the bell and subscribe and join in for my other videos. But really do spread the word about commercial property. Now, coming back to it. If you're thinking of getting into an industrial property right now, forget about investing in man caves and silos and stuff like that, right? Silo properties. Yeah, you can buy a 20, 60 square meter property. That's been one of the biggest oversupplies, or will be one of the biggest oversupplies we see in the market in the next 2 years. Now, why? Because functionally, it is not an industrial warehouse. Yes, it's built on light industrial land. Yes, it has got a roller door and a doorway. Yes, it's got the height clearance. You can build a mezzanine floor. But let's look at it. Tradies, 1 person, 2 person, need to be able to park a truck into it, need to be able to have stock, need to be able to have a workspace, need to be able to have an area to do invoicing, need to be places to put their tools, need to really be able to drop off logistic-wise and get cars in and out, right? Need to be access to the freeway, need access to other roads or other trades. They don't need a 20 to 60 square meter space. They need 120, 150 square meter space to, as they expand. Let's look at a 3 person. Let's look at your typical mechanic. Let's look at your typical dance studio even. Let's just look at typically when you have 3 or 4 people working in a business where it might be carpentry, right? You're going to need at least 250 square meters. I mean, that might seem like a lot, but you might also have a mezzanine floor where they can put a lot of stock. They have an office where they can do invoicing. They have one lady might come in and you've got people, trades coming in and out going through the back, and you've got cars to be able to park inside the actual industrial warehouses, right? 250 square meters, right? We go up and one more level where you might have 10 people working for you and they might be in light manufacturing, whatever it is, right? They're going to need 400 square meters of space plus yard, plus land space, plus spaces where they can bring logistics cars and drop off or vehicles, right? So 20, 60 square meters isn't going to cut it. That's a hobby warehouse. That is for personal use. Might be a photographer. Perfect for it, right? You might do some e-commerce business yourself, or you might join in with a friend and you just go do some logistics. You build up the mezzanine floors, you've got your stock, you can work underneath, and it's a startup business, right? It's basically you move from your home, studio at home that you're sick of working from home, and you move in there, right? The parking there, you don't get parking at the front with places like this. You have to park further out, bring your goods in. It's hard for things to be dropped out. You're always blocking someone's way. It's like self-storage, but a little bit bigger. So silos, right now, for most people, it's cheap to get into industrial. It's marketed as industrial. You sell it for $250,000 to $550,000, sometimes a little bit more. But because of the speed and the proliferateness of the build, in about 2 years' time, we're going to see it being very stagnant, oversupplied, not being able to rent it out because it doesn't suit the market and the demand of traditional industrial and what people actually need. And it's going to be stuck. And most people are going to be going back to itself. It's for owner-occupiers rather than for investment. So if you're an investor, I personally would stay away from silos, man caves, MySpace, all of those things, right? I would be looking at traditional, smaller warehouses in a business park where we have lots of subtenants together and lots of other tenants that feed onto each other, making it a destination. So I would be having 150 to 250 square meters space, give or take 10% on each side, in terms of your smaller warehouses. I would be looking at medium-sized warehouses anywhere from 250 to 400 square meters for medium warehouse, but it has to have some land. Doesn't matter if it's with other people, have to have some land. And then I will be looking at 400 plus further out of town, further out in that fringe areas where there is land where later on the area might gentrify, and I might be able to knock that down and develop smaller warehouse spaces, right? So if I was a current investor right now in the warehouse industrial space, these are the three types of properties I'll be looking at. I wouldn't be looking at silos. I wouldn't be looking at MySpace. I'll be looking at 150 square meter, give or take, to start with, going up all the different areas, right? All the different, depending on which level of investment you are. I'll be focusing on metro fringes, get away from the cities, because as cities gentrify, what we're going to have is the push out of, the councils will actively want to get rid of industrial space. What they want to do is they want to put in more retail spaces and get rid of industrial space. So the fringe areas will start to become more popular. The land value will go up, and so you'll get an uplift effect in terms of the value because of the land. So I will be looking at fringes, and I'll definitely go to large regional areas and try to buy properties freestanding on land. Not because all of my clients invest in regional. I've got a whole heap of clients that invest in metro. But the reason I look at that is if you can't afford metro and you really want to be industrial, you can get really decent properties on good pieces of land in large regional areas, somewhere around anywhere from 1.5 million to 2.5 million. And that will hold its value for you, and you'll get consistency of income, and the rent will continue to grow in those areas. And you will end up with a property that gives you both cash flow and growth as well, even though the growth might be slightly smaller compared to buying in metro areas. I will look at new areas that may be coming up. This seems a little bit far right now, but definitely have the potential to be more in the next 10 years if you're looking at a 10-year hold. Again, if you are looking for specifically exactly where to invest, the kind of returns, the kind of yields, how this strategy really plays out in terms of money in your hand and the growth that you need to see, that certainty, you need to book in for that strategy call with my team here at Unicorn, and also join one of our free events so that you can understand commercial property better and how warehouse and industrial will help you move forward. If you love this video, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video where I'll be talking about $1 million retail property versus $1 million office spaces, so that you can understand if you had $1 million, what would be the best form of investment for you right now. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.